Hello, everyone. Thanks so much for joining me here today as we get to talk about one of my favorite subjects, comic books. My name is Jose. I love comic books. I love talking about them. I love sharing them with you. Feel free to follow me on social media if you would like. Links are in the description below. Also posted a link to the Marvel fan site that I have plot synopsis and character bios for these issues. We're actually going to look at four of them. We're going to be looking at Fantastic Four versus the X-Men 4-issue limited series. This came out in 1986. However, this takes place after X-Men 219. This takes place between 219 and 220. So even though this came out at an earlier time, it won't it and you can see here for from the Marvel 25th anniversary that this came out earlier, but stuff doesn't happen till after. So this is where that fits. So even though it came out in 86, it fits in the 219 and 220 era. So in the playlist it will be in there. This takes place, it doesn't really say anything. It takes place either before or after X-Men Avengers, which takes place in the same time frame. So these adventures, I've already covered X-Men versus Avengers, and so this will just be in there as well. It doesn't matter if it's before or after. It just takes place in that time. Neither story references this story. Chris Claremont. This is gonna be, by the way, the same creative team throughout all four issues. By the way, I have playlists. I have an X-Men playlist. I have a New Mutants playlist. I have an X Factor playlist. I have a Wolverine playlist. I have an X Universe playlist where I dump everything together. Now, everything is in reading order. So in the playlist, you will be able to just follow along because everything is put in the order that it is supposed to be read at. So Chris Claremont writes all four issues. So these whereas Roger Stern did the X-Men Avengers one. Chris Claremont writes all four issues. Jon Bogdanove, I believe that's how you pronounce his last name, penciled all four issues, and Terry Austin inked all four issues. So same creative team throughout the entire thing. So good cover here. I love Terry Austin. Very precise inker. He uses a pen, but he uses a is it called a quill pen? That so he gives you that nice, neat, clean line that was very sought after before everybody started using what are those micro I forgot microns, before everybody started going to that. So this was pre-micron. He would use these pens to get you those clean lines. He would still use a brush as well for the thick, heavy lines here. So you destroyed DFF, Richards. Now I'll destroy you is our cover here. We always got to have Wolverine in there, and you can see Bogdanove and Austin did this. So nice use of screen tones here. So we got Richards in Doctor Doom's garb and Wolverine right after. So we're going to start out with a Chris Claremont trope in which we are going to have a dream. So are you sure? And so we're having a nightmare here. And we see Reed Richards carrying Sue Richards here. And you see Franklin off panel. Daddy, you killed her. Here we have our credits. Shout out to Tom Orzechowski, who this dude deserves every acolyte ever brought to him, having to letter Chris Claremont practically all the time. So Jim Shooter, rest in peace, is the editor in chief. Mike Carlin left. I I believe he left Marvel to go to DC, if I remember correctly. So, anyway, I think he did Superman. Franklin's like, "You killed her," and Reed's like, "Go away. This is no place for you." And so he's like, "Hey, you killed everybody." And so he's like, "It was necessary," and all that kind of stuff. Again, it's a dream here. So here you see Ben dead and She-Hulk dead and Johnny Storm dead, and then here comes Wolverine and he's scaring someone. Um, Only it didn't just cost the lives of your own Fantastic Four, Wolverine is saying. So he's it says you killed the X-Men as well. We see Havoc. This is how come it takes place, even though it came out in '86. Havoc doesn't join till 219. So that's why this issue takes place after. And then Longshot, of course, joined on X-Men Annual 10, but didn't show up till 14, 15, 20, 216. So we see Rogue. Magneto has his uniform from the 80s, which I think is really, really cool. And then this is supposed to be Dazzler here. So we came for you to help. And look at Franklin, Mr. Wolverine. He pops his claws and he's like, "Don't hurt my dad." And so Wolverine goes and jumps at him, but then he's dead. This is so weird. He just goes, he misses, and now he's dead. And he's gonna go to drop Sue off here, and he's like, "Don't go up there. Place is bad." He's like, "I must." And how will you stop me? And you see the snap, and he picks up this book, and Franklin's like, "Don't open it," and he does anyway. And he's like, "I love you, Daddy. Please, don't do this." And so you can see then Reed Richards turning into Doctor Doom and doing the whole thing here. Very great, a great pose of Doctor Doom here. And of course, he wakes up. Now remember, Franklin has precog abilities, so he goes to talk to his dad. And one of the things he says is he's always working. Now, real quick, I'm just going to narrate this story because I am doing all 4 issues at once, and I don't want to keep you more than an hour. If hopefully it won't be that long. I know that my X-Men Avengers one was an hour. We'll see. But I'm aiming for an hour. Hopefully we can do it for less here. So real quick, because I am going to read quite a bit from this page because I think it's hilarious. So he's like, "Daddy, I had a dream," and Reed Richards is like, "Well, that's nice, son." And then he's talking about all the stuff he has to do, not even paying attention. Reed Richards is a jerk, people. He always has been. You can see him making a call here. And he's like, "Sue dear, something seems to be bothering Franklin." He's not even dealing with it. He's like, and look at her with her she's in uniform, but wearing the like a bandana, showing that she's doing like domestic chores. And they're all in uniform. Don't these people just wear regular clothes? And so he's like, "Hey, something's bothering Franklin. I'm in the middle of some delicate rationalization. Would you mind taking care of him? I'm very sorry, son. I can't talk to you right now. Daddy's very busy." And so Sue grabs him with her invisible powers, and he says, "Thank you, dear," and then hangs up. This guy is a jerk, and I love the pipe thing. This is such a trope. Oh my God, this depiction of Reed Richards. Oh my goodness. So anyway, all right. I just thought that was hilarious. So Sue is taking him, and he arrives there, and again in uniform, but we've got this to show that she's doing the domestic stuff. It is the 80s, it is the mid 80s, and so we are in that tipping point before, we're just in there. So we are going to just move on. No commentary. All right, so And she's like, "Hey, what are you doing past your bedtime?" He's like, "I had the dream," and she cuddles him, being all motherly. So look at the difference. But look how big they draw this child. This guy is like 50. Look at this. This kid. There's obviously no use of reference, but look at this. If you add the legs, this kid's as tall as she is, and she's like, "You're safe with me. You'll always be safe." So she's like, "Tell me about it." He's like, "Everybody died. The Fantastic Four and the X Men." Um, he says, "Everyone but Daddy was opened the book, and when he opened, sorry, everybody was dead, and when he opened the book, he turned into Doctor Doom." And he's like, "Oh man, that has to be a premonition." She knows. So she puts him in again. She uses her invisible powers. Sue Storm, or Richards or whatever, is very powerful. She could, I think she single handedly could beat everybody. Um, so, um, she's like, "Is this a premonition or just anxiety here?" So she's like, "Well, youngster, since you're having trouble sleeping, how about helping me unpack?" And so these are boxes that were in storage and have come through in here. The China's all together still in one thing. That's hilarious here. And then she's like, "Hey, what's this?" And so she finds the book, and Franklin's all scared. He's like, "That's the book from my dream." And he's like, "Throw it away, mommy." And so now we go to Muir Isle, where the X-Men are staying here. And Rogue is doing mechanical work, and Havoc comes through, wondering if there's something he can do. And he doesn't like her dismissing. He's like, "Not here, not with me. Unless you're a whiz at Ramja's mechanics." He's like, "No." And he's like, "Then take a hike, boy. I'm busy." And of course, he's like, "How dare you talk to me like that? I'm a former X-Men. I've paid my dues." And Rogue snaps back. This almost looks very Rick Leonardi. Now, Jon Bogdanove went on with Louise Simonson to DC, and he had a very long run. I believe he did the Man of Steel series. He must have done at least 30 issues of that with Louise Simonson. So good run over there. I like Bogdanov. He reminds me a lot of Louise's husband, Walter Simonson. So Terry Austin's doing a very nice job keeping it clean, but I like Bogdanov when he does and inks himself, which isn't a lot. But Dennis Jank, I think, was his inker in Superman, and he Dennis Jank, I think, uses the brush, the nice thick brush as well. It gave it a I don't know, a better, more, I think, quality to his work. So anyway, Rogue snaps back and he's like, "That was then. Times change. You want a place with us? You earn it. Same way the people you're replacing did, with sweat and blood." Now, this is, of course, after the mutant massacre, and we've got Nightcrawler, Colossus, and Kitty Pryde. And so, and of course, they tell you for details, see 210 and 213. Now, so Kitty's over here. So who the hell is this? Must be some Morlock there. And so, if we remember here, Kitty is going through. She's fading away. Her powers were disrupted by the Marauders. Again, I have a playlist. I have covered the Mutant Massacre. Feel free to check it out. And so we've got Psylocke here with Storm, Moira McTaggart, and then, of course, Wolverine. And so they don't know what to do. She's disappearing. And Moira McTaggart is like, "The atoms in Kitty's bodies are drifting further and further apart. It's only a matter of days, Storm, before the oh my god, deterioration of molecular bonding causes irreversible brain damage." And so on like an intercomish thing, we see Magneto appear. I say Magneto, not Magneto. And he says, "I've learned of an experimental device by Reed Richards that may reverse Shadowcat's condition. I mean to contact him immediately." And Storm says, "Is that wise? The FF probably still consider you a supervillain." And Magneto says, And however will they learn otherwise, Storm, if I never give them the opportunities? Reed Richards is a rational and honorable man. He will know the truth when he hears it, even from my lips. So, and then we've got Allison Blair and Longshot, who just joined the X Men. So this will be the core team for quite a few issues. I I think till Jim Lee takes over. So this is sort of the core team. Um, and then when Jim Lee takes over, it changes again. So, but for at least 30 issues, this will be the core team. And so he's like, "Haven't you seen an ocean before?" He's like, "No, it's wonderful." He remember he came from another place, so he jumps in there, and he's like, "Oh my God, I've lost him. I don't even know so if he can swim." So she uses her powers to locate him, and what it is he had seen this guy here. So he grabs him. They put him in the boat here, and if you remember X Men 217, um, this guy showed up in a page here. So this is a fisherman here, and now he smiles. So back to the Fantastic Four. Franklin is sleeping, and it's kind of funny. Depending on who's writing, Franklin is either written like a 2-year old or written like a 15-year old, but he's always the same age. So here we have uh, Sue reading the journal, and she's holding it. She saw something that's terrible, and then Reed Richards is like, "Guess who?" Trying to be playful, covering her eyes, and she pulls away. Um, and he's like, "What's wrong? If it's about Franklin, I truly am sorry." And he says, "Do you recognize this?" And of course, he says, "It's her journal. Where'd you find it? I thought it was gone." And she says, "I wish it had been. I've read it. I suggest you do too, especially the pages relating to the rocket flight that transformed me, you, Ben, and Johnny into the Fantastic Four." Meanwhile, he wakes up, sees that she gives him the diary, and then he's like, "Oh no, my things are gonna come true." So, now we're in Greenwich Village here, and we see She-Hulk here, doing, uh, she's, what is it here? She's not a lawyer anymore. They thought that she's a lawyer, but they're doing a fundraiser at her school, and they're gonna be restaging the trial of Magneto, which was in Uncanny X-Men 200. Again, I have a playlist, and so she sees these sweets, and she's like, "I shouldn't. My figure." She's got like superpowers. She doesn't need it. So then she eats, but then she sees the smoke here, and of course she doesn't know it's a thing, and she's like, "Hey, turn that off." And he's like, "It's a free country." And then they recognize each other, and so she asks him what he's doing. He says he's got to recertify for all of my pilot's license. Remember, he was off planet after Secret Wars, and then She-Hulk had joined the Fantastic Four to replace him. And so she was telling him about the trial of Magneto, and he's like, how could you defend him, and blah blah blah, even if it's only pretend. And she's like, everybody deserves a fair trial. So we're gonna get some action finally here. So there's an explosion, because there always is, and so the Thing and She-Hulk are going to put it together, and they're like, it's given away, because of the fire melting stuff. It's kind of funny, real quick here. So in the 80s, we're like, hey, fire bends steel, but then 9/11 happens, and suddenly steel is unable to be bent. All these conspiracy theorists. Fire always wins, people. Heat is deadly to everything. Okay, so suddenly Magneto comes and helps everybody. And he was like, "I was in your vicinity, saw your predicament. With my mastery over the powers of magnetism, I can lock the steel framework in place and prevent structural stress from tearing the building any further apart." And so These two, he's like, hey, I still need you to hold it. So they are. And Ben's like, Creep probably blew it up in the first place. So here's the Human Torch. He's like, hey, use your flame to weld the main gardeners. And so he does that. And then he's like, wait, what am I doing? Why am I taking orders from Magneto? And so he's like, Ben's like, do what he says. He's making sense here. So he does that. So after all that is done, he is at the headquarters. Back then, it was in the 80s. It was not the Baxter Building. The Baxter Building had been destroyed. It's Four Freedoms Plaza, and they're like, "Why should we trust you? No reasons, just perhaps that I asked for it." They're like, "That's asking a lot." He's like, "Hey, we need your help. Kitty's dying. It's and you can see Sue's the one holding him. Um, and he's like, your device is the only hope. And he's like, this is a bad time. And he's like, tomorrow it will be too late. And so they're like, hey, what could go wrong? And so he's like, Magneto's pleading here, please, I beg you, save her. And he's like, Sue, I don't want to go, but there's a life at stake. And she's always like, there's always somebody. It's kind of like, there's always somebody in danger. What about us? And she's like, well, I'll be here when you get back eventually. That's all. But her thoughts are all like, jerk. And so we have a temporarily of She-Hulk kind of joining the Fantastic Four again. She is a member of the Avengers, and let's everybody know Magneto's sitting there, and Johnny's looking at him like, ugh. And so off they go to Muir Isle. And so they're wondering, what's wrong with Reed. He's like, nothing. He's of course being bothered by what was in the diary because he kind of looked at it himself. So now he's questioning it. So they get to Muir Isle, and so they're there. And so they bring the device here. They're going to work it on Kitty. And he's all like, oh my God, what if things go wrong? What if? So there's a period of self doubt here through this. And we'll see why coming up in a bit. But he is doubting himself. And so he's going to go in there. But Franklin's watching. He's like, I'm needed here. I'm needed at home. So now all of a sudden he cares about all these things here. So Chris Claremont really doing a good job portraying a humanity in Reed Richards that sometimes lacks from other writers, not John Byrne. John Byrne, of course, is the best FF writer. Better than Stan Lee, debate your mom. So, anyway, he's going to go see if he can do anything. And Storm says, Wolverine, why are you looking at Dr. Richards? So he's like, something about him don't sit quite right. I don't like it. Or him. So all right. So, time passes here. Claremont lets us know here. And he's like, McTaggart asks him, well, and he says, forgive me. There's nothing I can do. So he apparently tried. It didn't work. Magneto doesn't want to take that. He's like, Shadowcat's condition is too far advanced. He's like, nope, not good. If we'll keep your machine and get the heck out of here. And She-Hulk is like, that doesn't belong to you. And so Ben catches it, and so now we're gonna have the X-Men fight. So here comes um, the Human Torch, and Wolverine just punches him. He's like, mind your mouth, boy, and your manners. So Wolverine's awesome. Now, he did it without the claws, and Claremont makes us know that because now he pops them. And Franklin's like, oh no, just like my nightmare. And he knows that Wolverines can cut even through Reed Richards here. And he's like, we came to you for help. We trusted you. We put Shadowcat's life in your hands. So save her, bub, or you die. So thus ends issue number 1. Really like this art. This team, man, I really do like it. So, all right. So number 2 here. And we see Wolverine. We see Doctor Doom here. Your mother's been avenged, okay, kid? And so Wolverine killing Mr. Fantastic. Again, great cover by these two here. So, all right. So let's take a look. We start off where we left off. And Truth and Consequences, same creative team. All right. And so Storm's like, let go of him, and Magneto says, I'll separate him. But the Thing, of course, is like, you've done enough here, and does his shockwave here. And so she manages to grab Wolverine because he looks like he was going to kill Mr. Fantastic here. And so Johnny's kind of coming too. He's like, flame on. And so he's going to go try to hit Wolverine, but hits Storm instead, which of course he's like, oh no, that's not what I meant to do. And of course, here comes Rogue going, what the hell's going on? And she's like, Wolverine's near berserk. That's when Wolverine loses his mind here. And she grabs the Thing and gives him a kiss. Of course, she's able to absorb the powers by physical contact, and she can't control it, which is why she's always covered up. And so, but she also absorbs their thoughts here. That's what Chris Claremont is saying all through here. If Chris Claremont could say something in 10 words versus 100, he will always choose 100. And so Psylocke now shows up here with her telepathic powers and she's like, what the heck is happening here? So she's going to try to calm Wolverine down. There's She-Hulk. He's still like super irate here. So you can see that he is still manages to kick him. Look at this, and kicks him again. This is awesome. Cartoony at its best. And Franklin's like, Mr. Wolverine, no, don't hurt my dad. But turns out Franklin really is not there. It was a dream or a psychic, I don't know, whatever you want to call it. And so he falls. He's like, ow, ow, ow. And Sue comes like, are you okay? Still in uniform because nobody wears pajamas. And except Franklin. And she's like, you had a bad dream. He's like, no. And it's not a dream. And the X-Men got mad. And Mr. Wolverine hit Daddy. And so he's explaining everything that's happening. He's like, she tries to console him, but it's not working here. And so she's thinking still about the diary. And then he falls asleep. It's a stupid kid. Anyway, he's like, I never should have opened that book. I can't believe it. And so, what was in the book can destroy the Fantastic Four. I love this with her reflection, but then it's the old reflection because you can see by the hairstyle, and then she throws the book, and she does this thing, and it even tears her uniform out. So back to Muir Isle, and Longshot, Dazzler, and Havoc are looking at the ramp. I love it, Xavier School. And so they leave. However, this dude is right here, and he is not a dude. He is actually a robot construct, and he's like, all right, I'm going to do my job. And this is the nurse Sharon from New Mutants here. She works with Moira McTaggart. And Wolverine's like, get out of the way, McTaggart. And he'll have you like, if you want Richards, you'll have to kill me. And Storm's like, me too. And so finally, Wolverine unsheathes his claws. I like sneaked and snacked. So Storm apologizes, and Reed's like, no, not necessary. I understand. He's like, only you can save Shadowcat. He's like, I wish I could help. And Rogue, this is Rogue here. He's like, I'll just take what we need from him. And he's like, no, we're not gonna do that. And so now the I love Longshots. How he has them running. He's like, they're coming through like Longshot here. Who should we hit? And so everybody's done. And so here comes the Construct. And he's like, greetings to you, X-Men, and to you, Reed Richards, my oldest of rivals. And so we have a projection screen from Doctor Doom. Essentially, he is saying, I can save Kitty. And so great. I mean, this is a really good panel. Jon Bogdanove didn't get too much love. Really, he came on during the worst time for people that draw like him. He came on during the Todd McFarlane, Jim Lee, Mark Silvestri era of comic books and comic book writing, or sorry, comic book drawing. And unfortunately, people that drew like Bogdanov just didn't move the needle. People had seen Jim Lee, people had seen Todd McFarlane, Mark Silvestri, and people were like, I want people to draw like that. And so great artists like Jon Bogdanove just didn't stand a chance. So he's going to save Kitty. He's like offers to help him, and he's like, I can duplicate the research and construct and save the child's life. And Storm is like, for what price? And he says, would that matter? However, no price was mentioned, none shall be. And Wolverine's like, you doing this out of the kindness of your heart? And he's like, the reasons are my own, and my offer should speak for itself. And Rita's like, don't do it. It's like making a bargain with the devil. And he's like, who knows? You'll be in his debt forever. Who knows what the cost will be here? So after he sings, I can't do it, he doesn't want him to do it. And he's like, Moira's like, this is private land. Get the fuck out of here. And so they do. So She-Hulk leaves them and says, you're making a terrible mistake. And Storm's like, you left us no choice. And so they have to think about it for a little bit, but really there's nothing for them to think about it. They want to save Kitty. So they bring Storm, and they're like, hey, she's like, the fisherman. He's like, yep, we know. And so she's still, of course, with Ben Grimm's body because she absorbed him, but it's starting to get away. And then there's Kitty, who is pondering, I can't let the X-Men do this. And so now back in New York, and Reed Richards is like, what have I done? What's wrong with me? So what's going on with that diary? So we're going to find out here. And Ben grabs him from the back, tosses him. This is very... So after fighting the X-Men, now the Fantastic Four are going to fight each other. Again, Bogdanov is a really good artist. Just was not appreciated during this era of Jim Lee and Todd McFarlane, who will be coming on very shortly, coming on very strong here. So what is going on here, finally, we're just going to kind of move things along here, is in the diary. According to the diary, Reed Richards gave them their powers on purpose. Okay, so that's what's going to be revealed. We start talking about the stuff that's happening in Mutants coming on. Back in Muir Isle, Wolverine is just pissed, so he's like, trying to get some of that anger out. That's the way he meditates here. So, Allison's like, we can't take Doom's offer, and they're like, we don't have a choice. We have to save Kitty. Back again, we continue with the thing, and Reed's like, some of this is true, but not everything is in there. But they're like, keep reading, so he does, in which he made the calculations that would get him the power, and how his friends got into the rocket, which is still just, it's really silly. My God, Fantastic Four #1 is so silly because it is the 60s at its truest form here. So anyway, they go up, they get hit by the cosmic rays, and thus they become the Fantastic Four. And so again, can't trust Doctor Doom, but Wolverine just says, what's more important, Kitty or us? So I know I'm doing a lot, but I'm doing my very best to just kind of tell you this, because otherwise we're gonna be here especially with Chris Claremont's wordiness, we're gonna be here 2 hours. So all right, so he continues reading, and they're like, see, you did this on purpose. You played with all our lives. I can't believe you did that. Love the screen tones being used, different screen tones, lines, and then dots. And the thing is like, I can't believe you made me like this. This is, how dare you do that, and yada yada yada. And he's like, I didn't. And he's like, but it's in the diary, so yes, you did. And that's what's been bothering Reed. And so Ben leaves. And you can see Reed is all like sad, and so Ben's like, I quit. And Johnny's like, I quit. And She-Hulk just goes with him. And he's like, and you, Sue, you started this. Will you go or stay? It's always somebody's fault. I'm telling you, this guy is a jerk. So, all right. Basically, the X-Men are still debating, but Storm says, I'm going to take his idea, but only me. I don't want you X-Men involved. And Wolverine's like, if you do it, I do it. So if you're in, I'm in. And all the X-Men are like, well, us too. So, all right, end of issue 2. 2 more to go. So, all right, let's see if I can speed it up just a little bit more here. Here's number 3, another great cover. But look at this. All the X-Men are in Doctor Doom masks, taking on the Fantastic Four, or the Fantastic Two, really. Oh no, it is the four. 1, 2. There we go. My bad. All right. Very Rick Lenardi. It just reminds me so much of Rick Lenardi here. So, he's healing Storm, who only got burned in the top of the arm, but here they're showing like the entire arm, and Doctor Doom is healing her. And he's like, I can do everything better than Reed Richards, and good thing that I'm here to help you, yada, yada, yada. So they're still like, I can't believe we're doing this, but it is. Meanwhile, they're looking at the Latveria, and they're like, it's a beautiful country. Too bad it's ruled by such a toad. And so, Longshot's looking, because Longshot thinks that everything is good. He's from another planet, and so this guy's like, hey, there's somebody coming. Turns out that it's Rogue just kind of flying through, and then here we gotta have some action. So that's what this scene is basically for. It's just filler to try and get some action. Here's Havoc, and he's like, Dr. Doom probably did this on purpose, and so he's destroying the robots here, and she's had like this pew, or VoIP, sorry. And so she's taking care of the robots here. And so now the other robots don't like it, and they're like, surrender or die. But here comes Storm. All remember, they have a, if you remember from X-Men, it's in my playlist. It was after Dave Cockrum had returned for his second run. It was with Arcade. So they have a thing. Doctor Doom has a thing for Storm, and Rogue's like, they started it. This isn't our fault. And Doctor Doom is like, oh, sorry, my bad. No, he really doesn't say that, but all right. And then here's Kitty, and she's like, I can't believe that they're gonna let Doctor Doom try to save me. And she's like, I'm gonna get out of here. So she's gonna try to commit suicide. Essentially, this is it, and you can see that she gets out of there. And he's like, oh no, where are you going? What are you doing? Oh, this kid, he's so annoying. All right, and off she goes here. So here she kind of the way she's drawn, especially with the colors, she reminds me of Vertigo, the Marauder. And so he's like, she's gonna get away, and she's gonna die. And so the dragon roars, and they're like, oh my god, what's going on here? And they're like, they eventually deduce that Kitty is going to try. You see Psylocke in there, that City is going to try to commit suicide. And he's like, the Nasty Book won't destroy the Fantastic Four or the X-Men. You all won't fight. You all won't die. I don't know. Anyway, the kid. So, and so now she sees Franklin Richards there, who's having a like I don't know, a kid thing. And so he eventually convinces her to go back in the thing that kind of holds her together. and the X-Men arrive, and Loki is happy. And so they're like, false alarm, but of course they don't see Franklin. And so Doctor Doom finally shows up, and they agreed. So the X-Men are going to agree. And then here's Reed clutching that book, and he's like, sees a light, and it's Sue. He's gonna try to touch her, but he doesn't. He walks away, and then she's got that tear. How? My God, Chris Claremont lives for these soap opera moments here, and he's like, I didn't do that, but the book says I did, but there's no way that I did this, and we're gonna see the truth in issue number 4, but that's kind of the MacGuffin. That's kind of what we're kind of waiting on. Is like, well, he says he didn't do it on purpose, that it was all accident, but the book says that I did it on purpose. I just can't. And then he goes in and sees Franklin crying. He's like, poor little kid. And so they're gonna have after being a jerk, then he gets 3 issues later, he gets to be the good dad. And the kid's like, I love you, Papa. And then they cry because, we have to have the emotion here that Chris Claremont just loves so much. Chris Claremont had a good run on Fantastic Four in the mid 90s with Salvador La Roca, which I thought is underrated. And it should have been longer because he lives for these kind of things. When Chris Claremont takes over Fantastic Four in their second volume, I thought it was a really good idea. I thought it was pretty good, but Carlos Pacheco ended up taking over. He wanted Jeff Loeb, so they kick Claremont off. So here he is, kind of playing with Franklin. So Stu turns herself invisible so she can enjoy it, and so she's like, "Oh, my family!" Everybody's friggin' crying. All right, so now we're gonna have the X-Men kind of practicing their stuff, kind of like a Danger Room sequence thing in Latveria. Storm is holding her own without her powers. Keep in mind that she will get her powers by X-Men 224, I believe. She'll get her powers back with her and Forge, and so that'll be coming up in well, when this story takes place, like 4 more issues. So again, this story came out a year before it's supposed to, or it takes place. But anyway, so back to New York City. The Thing is just thinking, and he's like gonna go to this bar. He's just there. He can't believe he's like this. So um, he's got a beer. Everybody's like, eating and this stuff, and he's like, man, I'm a freak. I can't be a normal person. I can't believe this is all, blah 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 blah. So and he's like, I can't believe Reed Richards did this on purpose. He's a little drunk, leaves loads of money, and then he leaves. And then everybody's like, woo, because they thought it was gonna be like something, and he was gonna destroy the bar, but he didn't. And so as he's walking through, there is a car or a truck accident with a car, and he goes in and saves the baby that was trapped inside, which gives him, like, if it hadn't been for Reed, I wouldn't have these powers, and this baby would have died. Essentially, it's the introspection that he gets, and so he's like, I was able to, and the cop's like, wow, you're awesome, and this and that. The lady gives him a kiss. The baby's all like, oh, bah, 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 bah. So he is now maybe this isn't so bad. And so here we have the Human Torch kind of going like the same thing, but the Human Torch's life isn't that bad. Believe it or not, the only one that should feel bad is the Thing. Everybody else is like, they're still normal people. And so during this time, he's married to the blind lady Alicia, but turns out that she's a Skrull. Just, it was retconned. They're like, no, we can't have the Human Torch being married to the Thing's girlfriend. Let's make her a Skrull. So she's a Skrull that wanted Johnny. Good thing they never had kids. So, all right. So, um, she's like comforting him and like, oh, it's whatever. So, he watches his kid and he's like, just kind of looking, um, at Franklin, making some thoughts, and Sue comes with a cup of coffee, and she was invisible and she's turning back uninvisible, and you can see they talk it over and they're like, oh, she goes, the man who wrote that diary, whoever he was, it isn't you, because there's no way. She doesn't believe Reed Richards would have done what he did. And so we're gonna see, and again in issue 4, nice. I love vertical panels. I think they're very creative how you can fit all the information in a little bit of space here. And so Dr. Doom, of course, worships himself, and he's like, oh, how smart he is, I'm a genius, you guys are lucky I'm here willing to do this for you. And so he's like, I indicated, that basically I double, tripled, quadruple checked all my math. It was all in there. There was no fault. It's impossible. And he's like, every simulation confirmed that, only it wasn't. And so she catches the what a jerk. Oh, that's come on. As he slams it, she catches it with her invisible powers, and even the coffee. And he's like, I gotta go save Shadowcat. It's just I was second guessing myself. And then the Fantastic Four come back and they're like, hey, we stick together, because now the Thing realizes that um it was just meant to be, and he needed his powers to save people. So we're going down to the last issue, A Matter of Faith. And so here we go. Fantastic Four versus the X-Men. And here we see Franklin, and we see that everything is gonna come true here. And he's even, look at Doctor Doom, even like, oh, don't get me. So what the heck? And so A Matter of Faith. And so we got Kitty here. Same creative team here. Again, Tom Wazakowski deserves an award for lettering all this, plus lettering Uncanny X-Men, plus lettering New Mutants. Goodness gracious. So, um, Kitty's in there still kind of like, I can't believe they're letting Doctor Doom help me. Uh, Low-key feels Franklin Richards, and or did he teleport himself there? I don't know. But he's like, I remember me, and then he's like, oh yeah, and then he licks him here. So he's with Kitty here, and you know, Kitty's supposed to be young, so just remember that Kitty's supposed to be a teenager during this time here. And so we're gonna get a explanation of a recap. We're basically getting a recap of the last 4 issues here. So here come the Fantastic Four here. So it was uh a, him in his dream, when things, so you can see Sue holding on. And so we got the Fantastic Four plus She-Hulk, so we actually have 5 in there. And so just kind of talking, and he's like, who's flying the plane? Oh, and he goes, it's on autopilot. So then these two are going to she creates an invisible chair, and he sits there, and he's making, I don't know, doing stuff. So they're just talking. It's really a lot of talky. So all right, we're gonna kind of move on. He's feeling bad for uh getting Storm. It's just a lot of stuff, and then they're gonna think about um when they all met and Doctor Doom, um and the competition that the two of them, everybody knows the origin between Doctor Doom and Reed Richards. If you don't, feel free to go to that website that I posted. You can look at each character bio. It'll give you the thing. And he's like, this is just not possible. Reed Richards still thinking about this diary, and he's like, it's a lie, but I wrote it, but I don't remember. And um he sees Franklin here. Here's this line here: I couldn't have betrayed them. So he just doesn't think, and he's like, I've been to visit Shadowcat. I told her we were coming. I told you would save her. And Reed's again going back to self doubt, and he's like, I don't know if I can. Well, God. So they're heading to Latveria. Here's Wolverine, and it looks like Longshot. They're still practicing, and Longshot throws the knives at him. Wolverine um, catches one, deflects the others, and so we're still here practicing because we have pages to fill. That's the problem sometimes with limited series is that you don't have enough of the story, so you gotta do some filler. Um, and so this is exactly what we're having here. We're having filler here. So um, Rogue's still not happy that they need Doctor Doom's help. These two are still talking. Betsy is helping them here 'cause she's a telepath here, and Doctor Doom is behind them, and so it's time now. We're gonna begin. Here's Magneto. I love this. This is a great um, pose. I really like it. I think I'm gonna steal it on something. And so here comes Storm again. He's now thinking about Auschwitz. Remember, he is a Jew and he was in the concentration camps. Um, and he lost his wife and daughter. Gets rid of this robot thing for like no reason, just because he's angry, and he creates a memorial to his wife and daughter. Meanwhile, Doctor Doom is like, hey, quit using your powers. This is all very delicate, and if you want me to save that kid, then you gotta stop it because you are creating a mess. And so, and so he told them to quit using your powers. And so, they talk a little bit, but then Storm sees that the Fantastic Four are coming in here, so he's going to try to stop them because he thinks that they're going to try and stop the process. And so Doctor Doom is just pissed. He's like, I can't believe this idiot continues using his powers, and now Reed Richards is here. Why can't people just leave me alone? I'm so awesome. And that's essentially what he says, because, everybody's like, ugh, if everybody would just listen to me, this world would be so much better. How many of us just don't have that thought? We can really empathize with Doctor Doom because it really does make some sense here. And so he's like explaining things to him. He's refused, and they're like, Sue's like trying to talk to him, and he's like, he wants to save Shadowcat. She explains to him. So, here comes Wolverine and Rogue, who don't know everything else, and they're ready to fight. Great pose here of them. Jon Bogdanove, again, if it hadn't been for Jim Lee and Todd McFarlane and Mark Silvestri, I think he would have killed it on X-Men. I think he would have. Mark Silvestri ends up going on X-Men, which I think is great, but Bogdanove, he could have been a bigger name. I love his art. I follow him on X and on Instagram. Check him out. So, all right, so here we go, and we think we're gonna have a fight, but he just gets bonked in the head and knocks him out here. Here comes the rest. We gotta have a one last fight because that's what we do. Oh, I love the Leela Cheney jacket here. And so here comes everybody else. And why is Rogue naked? I'm sorry. I need to go back. Why is she naked? Was it just a color mistake? Or did Sue make her naked? It's just weird. Okay. I don't get it. Why is she naked? I don't know. But she's naked now. I looked. I can't remember why she's naked. Um. All right. We'll move on. All right. So we got another fight here. I love this with Storm versus She-Hulk, and suddenly the lightning strikes, and she's like, "Huh." And so Magneto grabs the thing, and they're like, "Wait, Franklin's aboard," and they didn't know that. And here's Franklin on top of the dragon, and he's snorting here, and so he's like, "Hey, this is about Kitty Pride. Don't you people care?" And so they quit. They quit fighting because Franklin said so. So Franklin made them see that they shouldn't be doing this. And meanwhile, we've got Psylocke here trying to comfort Kitty, and Doctor Doom is like, these people. And then he's like, I'm going to demonstrate that I am better than Richards by being a hero, because this is what he does. And then he looks at the diary, and he's like, a wonderful, a most unexpected but delightful surprise. And whatever else occurs here this night, my old friend, you are doomed. So he sees the diary. So we're going to see, finally, we're going to get a reveal as to all this here. And so here we go. And Reed tells him your calculations are wrong. And of course, Dr. Doom's like, don't bother with me with your petty jealousies here. So you see, he's like, wait. And Dr. Doom's like, it's impossible. I'm too smart to make a mistake. And of course, he's like, hey, Mr. Doom, does it matter if my pa helps so long as Kitty gets saved? I mean, isn't that more important than being boss or proving how smart you are? He looks and looks, and Doom is like, so Doctor Doom here. So eventually, it's Reed's calculations were correct, and so they do their magic, and we're basically going to have Kitty Pryde be restored. She is going to get be okay. Reed Richards is still wondering, oh my god, are they really correct? I'm so stressed. Like, since when is Reed Richards stressed about anything? And he's like, for Shadowcat's sake. And so thinking about the art, this, and finally Sue comes to the realization here, and she'll reveal it in a minute here. But Reed Richards goes from, no, I am correct. And so they saved Kitty. And so Kitty is safe. They're having look at that, music and Dazzler's dancing and food. And he explains how everything kind of worked and all this. But we're going to have a moment here between Sue and Doctor Doom. And it turns out that she knows Doctor Doom wrote the diary and put it in there. Meanwhile, these two, Magneto and Reed, they apologize. And anyway, she says, you were playing a long game, using people. And she says, you do this again, I'll kill you, because I'll use her powers and blow his head. Look at him. This caviar is delicious. And she's like, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, you're denying yourself a treat. So, they're like, you can see here that, they think that those two are going to fight. And so the X-Men are prepared to back her up. And he's like, this is the part where she goes, I'm very deadly. And just remember that. And then, of course, everyone's like, we love you, Reed. And so we get now to the end. And Kitty's going to be okay. And we know she's going to be okay because she'll be in Excalibur. So, and Franklin thinks now his nightmare is over. So, there we go. X-Men, or Fantastic Four versus the X-Men, 1 through 4. Chris Claremont, Jon Bogdanove. and Terry Austin. Not too bad. And hey, within an hour. Like and subscribe, and I do thank you so much for listening. Goodbye.